A gorgeous day outside here in the Valley of the Sun, the Phoenix area, as you are looking at the Canyon Activity Center, which just celebrated its 1-year anniversary of being open in the last month. And we bring you to Grand Canyon University for the first time ever as they host the NIRSA Region 6 Championship Series of basketball. We've had 44 games in 44 hours. And this is the 44th one, the final one, which features two teams in men's basketball, including the hosts from Grand Canyon University as they take on the Cougars of Cal State San Marcos. Good afternoon, everybody. Jim Howe welcoming you to a beautiful day outside and a fantastic tournament inside, which has pretty much run off without any problems at all since it began Friday night in the work of 6 months of very hard work by the tournament organizers here at Grand Canyon University, and it has come down to this. Two teams who have never won a regional championship in NIRSA Region 6 before. In fact, GCU club team, which is the team that has been featured here, and made it to the championship game in 2017 when the tournament was held at UCLA in Los Angeles, and wound up losing to their rivals from the intramural side and campus recreation here. Both of those teams have done very well in this tournament. As a matter of fact, they knew that the home court advantage could come into play, considering out of the 34 teams in this field, both on the men's and women's side, 8 of them came from this institution. And so this team is here, GCU Club White. There are 3 different club teams, on the men's side that took part of this 20-team field, and they will take the court against the Cougars of Cal State San Marcos, who has battled back from 2 different big deficits in the quarterfinal round and the semifinal round to arrive here, including knocking off the defending champions from last year's Dixie State team. So, should be a very good matchup, and it should be one that you will certainly enjoy. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with NIRSA rules and are just used to conventional men's college basketball, NIRSA goes by a running clock. In fact, the clock only stops inside of 2 minutes of each half. The only exceptions to that is each team gets 3 timeouts they can use throughout the game, and if there is an official's timeout. Other than that, the clock keeps on running, and each team, again, gets 3 timeouts, and each team gets 7 fouls in a 20-minute half before they hit the bonus. Again, the running clock is a running clock for 2 20-minute halves. So should be back and forth action. We certainly expect that from these 2 teams, and so we hope you'll get comfortable and enjoy as we are about to present to you 2020 NIRSA Region 6 Championship Series of men's basketball between Grand Canyon University and Cal State San Marcos. We got the starting lineups and all the play-by-play coming up on the other side of this break right here on GCU TV.
One more member on our roster. Streets of New York is proud to announce Grand Canyon University to our winning team. We are now the official pizza of GCU. Go Lopes.
Today at Whataburger, we're cooking the Buffalo Ranch chicken strip sandwich.
You asked for it, and it's back.
We got 3 chicken strips, 2 slices of Monterey Jack cheese, Whataburger's own buffalo sauce, a little bit of buttermilk ranch. The combination is just right.
It's crunchy, and then it's spicy, and then it's cool. Your mouth is exploding with flavor.
It just all works together, and then you add the cheese in there.
It kind of wakes me up, honestly. My goodness. I can see myself eating this every time I come here.
The Buffalo Ranch chicken strip sandwich. It's back, and it's only for a limited time.
Order all your favorites from your phone.
Jim Howe back here at the Canyon Activity Center at Grand Canyon University. We started Friday night with 20 men's teams in this NIRSA Championship Series. We're down to 2, and it's time for the introductions of both. We go to center court. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the brand new Canyon Activity Center at Grand Canyon University, one of the fastest growing universities in the nation, for today's exciting men's championship basketball. This is the men's championship game of the 2020 National Intramural Recreational Sports Association Region 6 Basketball Championship Series. Today's matchup features the Lopes of Grand Canyon University and the Cougars of California State University, San Marcos. Here are today's starting lineups, beginning with Grand Canyon University Lopes. At forward, number 10, Mason Peterson. At forward, number 12, Nick Brown. At center, number 30, Michael Ryan. At guard, number 0, Dustin Trout. And at guard, number 11, Trevor Ballard. The head coach for the Lopes is Lamont Lane. And now introducing the starting lineup for the Cal State San Marcos Cougars. At forward, number 14, Carter Swingle. At forward, number 32, Guggen Najjar. At center, number 12, Eric Papke. At guard, number 13, Jalen Lake. And at guard, number 11, Evan Stillon. The head coach for the Cougars is Ryan Groth. Officials for this afternoon's contest, Nathan Miller, Andrew Lopez, and Tyler Pham. So the scene is now set. Again, 34 men's and women's teams combined joining Grand Canyon University for this 44-hour odyssey. And we've already crowned, as you saw just a few minutes ago here on GCU TV, the women's champion, that being University of California, Davis, who knocked off Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. And now it will be the chance for the host school to come away with their first ever regional championship on the club side, although the intramural side has won 3 different regional championships and even one national championship in the last 5 years. Tip is up, and it's controlled by GCU, and a quick three-pointer put up and missed by Mason Peterson. And the Cougars, who like to stay in games and just hang around, they've battled back from big deficits. Here's Najjar out front. He'll fire a 3 and get it, and he's a guy who doesn't need an awful lot of room to be able to get on target, and just like that, it's 3-0. Three-pointer put up and missed by Trevor Ballard. Ballard can put it up from the parking lot, but he, like a lot of shooters on this GCU team, can be very streaky. Here's a beautiful backdoor pass. Jalen Lake finding Evan Stillon, make that Carter Swingle, and just like that, San Marcos on top 5-0. GCU has gotten this far by winning 5 games, and usually in very dominant fashion. In the corner, Peterson fires another 3. That one rims around and won't go. So GCU 0 for 3 from the field, all from behind the three-point arc here in the first minute. Here is Jalen Lake, the point guard. Give it in the corner. Drive inside, out for Stillon. Stillon faked the 3, drive in. His shot knocked away. It goes to Najjar, who puts it up and in. And it's 7-0 Cal State San Marcos with a touchdown lead, and we haven't even played a minute and a half. Trout outside for Trevor Ballard, gives it back to Trout. Trout can shoot it from the parking lot also, but he also runs the point guard spot. Here's Michael Ryan out front. Nick Brown will drive in. His shot is rejected. Comes to the side, though, and it's saved by Ballard. He'll drive in. That one also swatted away, but this time contact and a foul.
White 12, 8, 2 shots.
Foul called on Eric Papke, who has been an enforcer in the middle in the first 2 minutes plus. And the first free throws of the game belong to Trevor Ballard, but his first free throw is not good. And Lamont Lane, the second-year head coach for GCU, quickly going to his bench, and Phil Wilson will check in as Ryan will take a seat. And Ballard finally gets the Lopes on the board with the second free throw. Cal State San Marcos 7, Grand Canyon 1 here in the early moments of this NIRSA Championship Series men's championship game for Region 6. Lake out front, Wilson with a defensive assignment on him. Lake wants to work one-on-one, comes around the screen, wanted to get it to Najjar in the pick and roll, but it's covered well. Here's Swingle back for Lake. That one poked away by Dustin Trout. They'll back it away and start again. No shot clock here for NIRSA rules, so they can go as many times as they need to. Papke goes in, turns around, tries to go up for the shot, and it's stripped away nicely by Phil Wilson. Knocks it out of bounds. The Cougars will keep possession. And they'll inbound it just to the left of their own basket. Lake looking, quick inbound for Papke. Hang in the air, that one's swatted away by Wilson. Lake gets it back, give it to Swingle. He'll go up, and he's knocked down hard on the shot. Doesn't get it to go, but free throw time upcoming for the Cougars for the first time this afternoon as Phil Wilson whistled for the first personal foul for the Lopes. Swingle to the line, and the first free throw is good. Denzel Wanguma will make his first appearance into the lineup for the Lopes, wearing that white number 13 on the back of his road black jersey. The Lopes, even though this is the host university, consider the road team in this matchup. Swingle able to extend the Cougars' lead to 9-1. Here's Ballard, giving in the corner. Wilson's going to pump it up for three. That one won't go. But right inside, Wilson able to get it after the miss by Nick Brown. Puts it back up. The shot did not go. GCU still without a field goal, 4.5 minutes in. But more free throws coming as Najjar is whistled for the second team foul of the first half for CSUSM. So Wilson to the line, and the first free throw misses everything. And so GCU looking like a team that is playing their third game of the afternoon, but they can't use that as an excuse. The Cougars are in the same boat. Christian Zitney will check in as Lamont Lane trying to find any combination that will work for the home team right now. Wilson makes one of two, and it is San Marcos 9, Grand Canyon 2, still in the early going. Najjar start to drive. Staying with him is Zitney. Gets it back out front for Jalen Lake. Lake start to drive on the right side. Keeps coming. He's cut off. Wilson tried for the tie. Didn't get it. Swingle gives it back for Lake. They'll reset it again. Lake bluffing the three. Wants to spread the floor. Stellan comes out to join him on the perimeter. And now a 5-second call. Lulling him to sleep defensively was Trevor Ballard. He was just close enough to force the possession turnover. So here come the Lopes, still looking for their first field goal of the afternoon, and we played 6 minutes here at the Canyon Activity Center on the GCU campus. Here's Ballard. He'll drive in. Here's Wilson. Wilson double teamed in the lane, has it stripped, gets it back, stripped again, and this time Papke completes the turnover. And San Marcos owning both halves of the floor in the first 6 minutes plus. Jalen Lake, open look, straight away three, got it. San Marcos 12 and GCU 2. And the fans who are in here cheering for GCU a little bit shell-shocked. Open look for three, in and out. Nick Brown again cannot find the range, and San Marcos able to control the board. We had a 21-point decision in the women's championship after tons of close games in the quarterfinal and semifinal round. And San Marcos right now threatening to do the same on the men's side. Here's Najjar muscling in. He'll fake, he'll shoot, he'll score. And the front court duo of Carter Swingle and Gagan Najjar were responsible for 11 of the 14 points. and Lamont Lane wants to talk about it. Timeout GCU, 12:55 left to go first half. And it's Cal State San Marcos 14, Grand Canyon 2. Right here at the 2020 NIRSA Region 6 Championship Series of Men's Basketball on GCU TV.
One more member on our roster. Streets of New York is proud to announce Grand Canyon University to our winning team. We are now the official pizza of GCU. Go Lopes.
Back to live action in the men's championship game, and finally GCU gets their first field goal as Christian Zitney with a nice drive. But then Jalen Lake comes right back for San Marcos and hits his second tray, and it's 17-4. Ballard finally finds the range. He is their top three-point shooter, and he showed it right there after missing his first three three-point attempts. GCU trying to get back into this, trailing by 10. Jalen Lake has done a masterful job in the first 8 minutes running the show for San Marcos. Start to drive on Zitney, keeps it coming. Give it off for Elijah Ellis, who comes to the free throw line, stops the dribble. Nick Brown now covering Lake in the corner. Back over for Ellis. Ellis, who just checked in during that stop and play, puts it up from 14. That's off the mark. And it's just GCU players underneath for the defensive board, Wilson Corrals. Now running the show is Wanguma. Off for Ballard, another long three. That one won't go. Wilson didn't have the position, almost was able to take the rebound away from Papke. Cougars come away with it. Here's Najjar. Put on the brakes as he crosses the midcourt line. Give it off for Elijah Ellis. Now they give it back to Lake, who will reset and slow it up. We played nearly 9 minutes in the men's championship. Lake feeling it. He'll fire another three and get it. And Jalen Lake is 3 for 4 from behind the arc. And San Marcos has equaled their biggest lead. Ballard trying to change that, but he'll miss another three, and he's 1 for 6 from behind the three-point arc. And right now, that's the difference. GCU unable to find the range, and San Marcos looking very comfortable. Cougars lob inside. Papke, one bounce, puts it up, no. Tip up by Najjar, no. Najjar takes it away from 3 different Lopes. For the second attempt, can't get it to go, but he's fouled. So Najjar winning some major hustle points. Draws the second personal foul on Phil Wilson. And Caleb Smith will make his first appearance in the Lopes lineup. Non-shooting foul, so the Cougars have it back. Driving all the way in, Swingle. Give it off for Lake. Inside pass, there's Papke, he'll score. The Cougars did a good job of waiting for the mismatch to come, and Papke had the size advantage inside and took advantage of it. Here's Ngawa all the way in, got the open layup but couldn't convert. And on the rebound scramble, a loose ball foul call. Wanguma whistled for the personal. That is the third team foul of the first half for Grand Canyon, as Javier Durazo will make his first appearance in the San Marcos lineup. And CSUSM building on a 15-point cushion. Lake with the basketball, takes it to the left side. Wilson keeping the pressure on him. Now he gets it on a pick and roll and run to perfection as Stellan got the first step and lays it up and in. Lake with the assist, Evan Stellan his first field goal. Wanguma drives inside, has it stripped away. Fast break on the other end. Lake comes down. GCU trying to get set defensively. Stellan drives through 2 defenders, put it up and put it in. And right now it is all Cougars, 26-7. And the fans here at GCU looking a little shell-shocked. Nice pass inside, Trout for Zitney, but he's double-teamed. Back out for Trout. His first three-point attempt won't go. Zitney gets the rebound, and as he goes back up, it's knocked out of his hands, but he's fouled by Durazo. GCU so far 2 for 4 from the free throw line. Will head back that way for a pair. And Christian Zitney with his first attempts of the afternoon. And the first free throw is not good, so the struggle's continuing on all facets of the game for Grand Canyon. Carter Swingle got a very quick breather, and now he will give Guggen Najjar his first rest, as Zitney will fire up the second free throw after we get under the 8-minute mark. And like his predecessors, Wilson and Ballard, he makes 1 of 2. And now apparently an official's timeout, as looks like there's some blood on the jersey of Najjar. And that automatically stops the game, so we will have an official's timeout. We'll take a quick breather. 7:52 left to go first half. It's Cal State San Marcos 26 and Grand Canyon 8 right here on GCU TV.
Today at Whataburger, we're cooking the Buffalo Ranch chicken strip sandwich.
You asked for it, and it's back.
We got 3 chicken strips, 2 slices of Monterey Jack cheese, Whataburger's own buffalo sauce, a little bit of buttermilk ranch. The combination is just right.
It's crunchy and then it's spicy and then it's cool. Your mouth is exploding with flavor.
It just all works together, and then you add the cheese in there.
It kind of wakes me up, honestly. My goodness. I can see myself eating this every time I come here.
The Buffalo Ranch chicken strip sandwich. It's back, and it's only for a limited time.
Order all your favorites from your phone.
Officials satisfied that the blood is not a problem, and they have taken care of it. So now San Marcos with the basketball and a hefty cushion. Elijah Ellis open in the corner. Three-pointer won't go. Now GCU wants to run. Trout racing down the right side. Keeps coming. Stop at the free throw line. Tried it inside for Zitney, and it goes out of bounds. Last touch by the Lopes. And everything going right for San Marcos. They have been able to hustle the loose balls. They've crashed the offensive glass, and they're getting outside shots to fall. Michael Ryan comes back in the middle for Grand Canyon. And Jalen Lake, who has been fantastic both on the assist side and the scoring side, brings it across the midline for Cal State University San Marcos. 7 minutes left to go first half. Handoff for Ellis. Ellis covered closely by Phil Wilson. Gets it out front for Javier Durazo, who drives on Ryan. Now he spins, got nowhere to go. Is it a travel? Is it a foul? Apparently it's going to be an infraction on GCU. That'll be on Wilson, and that is his third. Only 4 team fouls on Grand Canyon, and Wilson has 75% of them. Non-shooting foul. Lake quick inbound for Stellan underneath. Tried to throw it out front. It's knocked away. Stolen by Zitney. Zitney comes down 1-on-3, and he'll fight his way all the way in. Puts up the shot despite not having the numbers. Doesn't get it to go. But free throw time again for GCU, and they've got to start taking advantage of that. Foul is on Elijah Ellis. And so each team with 4 team fouls here in the first 14 minutes. Zitney back to the line for the second time in the afternoon, and the first free throw is good. Lopes just annihilated their first 3 opponents by a combined 116 points, but the going was a little bit tougher once they got into the quarterfinal round, as Zitney makes them both. They were able to beat San Diego State by 12 in a game that definitely was closer than the final tally. And then ASU downtown from Arizona State University, which is their rivals on the club level, they were able to beat for the 3rd time this year by 17 points and just kind of gradually wore them down. Now loose ball, Elijah Ellis trying to get it on the sideline, but he stepped on the out of bounds line. So as we near the 5-minute mark, Lopes have trailed for the duration after the Cougars scored the first 7 points. And Phil Wilson will bring it across the time stripe. 15 minutes down. Zitney trying to feel it, goes in, puts up the shot and gets it, but they'll wave it off and say that the infraction on Cal State San Marcos happened before he went up.
White one.
Back-to-back personals on Elijah Ellis for the Cougars, as Najjar will come in for Javier Durazo. 8-man roster for Cal State San Marcos, 9-man roster for GCU, who actually normally go 14 deep, but they've had a lot of injuries in the last few weeks. There's another infraction, and Zitney trying to work on him and up that total, and has gotten their wish. That's team foul number 6. The foul's called on Lake. One more, and GCU's in the bonus. Non-shooting foul this time, as Wilson running the point for the moment. Out for Dustin Trout. They'd like to get Trout on track. He'll go inside, put up the shot, roll around and off. Najjar fighting with 3 different Lopes for the rebound. On the floor, jockeying for it with Michael Ryan, and a whistle. And it'll be GCU basketball on the travel. So Trout inbounds underneath. Lob for Wilson. Gets it out front. Here's Nick Brown. Brown starts to drive. Looking for a open look. Can't find it. Gets it to Zitney, who fumbles. Gets it back. And then when he gets on the floor, a holding foul called. And that will be on Jalen Lake. That's his second. That's certainly not good news for Ryan Groth, the head coach for San Marcos, because not only is it the second foul on his point guard, it also puts the Cougars over the team foul limit with 3:15 to go. And Zitney, who's had a steady diet of free throws the last 3 or 4 minutes, right back there in the 1-and-1, and the first free throw's good. Christian, the native of Bowie, Maryland, now 4 for 5 from the stripe. And he makes it a 26-12 San Marcos lead as he makes the next one. Evans still on in. Elijah Ellis takes his 2 fouls to the Cal State San Marcos bench. And Jalen Lake, who also is playing with 2 personals, brings it up down the left side. Nick Brown now covering him defensively. Coming out to get it way out high is Papke, but away from the ball. A whistle is going to send it the other way. An offensive foul, and that's, I believe, on Jalen Lake, or is it on Swingle? I think it was on Carter Swingle, which would be his first, and that's good news for the Cougars. That could have been 3 fouls on their point guard. Zitney out front for Ryan. They want to spread the floor as the Lopes try and get back into it. Nick Brown for 3, off the back of the iron, not go. And Najjar all by his lonesome for the defensive rebound as we move under 2 minutes left to go before halftime. It's been a great first half for Cal State San Marcos. Lake almost lost it. Ryan in his face. Here's Papke. Nice into Najjar. Going for the steal was Nick Brown. Came up empty in Najjar now with 9 points on 4 field goals. 28-12. Cal State San Marcos maintaining this hefty double-digit lead. Zitney drives in, finds daylight, puts it up. It's partially blocked by Papke, and it goes in anyway. So Zitney off the bench now with 9 points to lead the way. He's got 9 of the 14 on the scoreboard for the team that is the road team in the matchup, but the home team as far as the host university. And now an offensive foul out front as Najjar stuck the hip out to try and spring Lake loose. And so the foul starting to add up at the tail end of this half. Stops the clock with 66 seconds remaining. But Najjar with 2, Lake with 2, and Ellis with 2. Wilson has 3 of the 4 fouls on the ledger for GCU. Trout's shot won't go, and GCU still cold from the field as Najjar goes to the floor to get the loose ball, but he's called for a travel. Or did he call a timeout? Yep, he called a timeout to avoid that violation. So we will take a break. 55.4 seconds remaining. Cal State San Marcos 28, Grand Canyon 14. We'll take a 30-second breather and be back on GCU TV. The NIRSA Region 6 Championship Series tournament also brought to you by Universal Athletic, which provides services to every school and college in 9 states in the western United States and is the #1 independent team dealer in the country. Universal Athletic, for the athlete in all of us. Well, the athletes have been in force on the Cal State San Marcos side. We're in the final minute of the first half, and they have led for the duration. The lead is 14 at the moment as Jalen Lake gets it in for Papke. Nice pass inside as Najjar snuck in, put it up and in, score it, count it, foul, and send him to the line as Najjar now in double figures with 11. Foul called on GCU's Christian Zitney. And the Cougars, who have led by as many as 19, try to get it closer here in the final minute. And that one gets the shooter's roll. Emblematic of the half. 30-14. And again, the Lopes trying to find some offense, and they have not been able to find it from the field. Here's Zitney. Zitney with a half a minute to go. Gets it off for Nick Brown. Brown throws it out front for Dustin Trout. Here's Phil Wilson back out for Zitney as the Lopes look like they're going to go for the final shot of the half. They still have 14 seconds to do it. Trout fake the handoff to Zitney, go to the right side, back away. Down to 9, now 8. Ryan is double teamed, has it knocked away, has to scramble for the ball. That's a held ball, and the possession arrow again favors Cal State San Marcos. And they have 5.7 seconds to go to the length of the floor to try and add to this. Lake waiting to touch the ball, now he does. Racing down the right side. Long pass for Stallon, turnaround, fall away 3 at the buzzer, will not go. But a near perfect first 20 minutes of basketball for Cal State University San Marcos, scoring the first 7 points of the game, leading by as many as 19, and they will have a 17-point edge as we take it to the halftime break. We will come back with our halftime show after this. It is halftime in the 44th and final game of the 2020 NIRSA Region 6 Championship Series of basketball. And here's your score. The Cal State University San Marcos Cougars 31 and the Grand Canyon University Lopes 14. Keep it here for more right here on GCU TV.
One more member on our roster. Streets of New York is proud to announce Grand Canyon University to our winning team. We are now the official pizza of GCU. Go Lopes.
Jim Howe back here at the Canyon Activity Center, one of the newest buildings on an ever-growing Grand Canyon University campus in the heart of the Valley of the Sun, Phoenix, Arizona. And they've got one of their teams on the club sports side here at the finals of the NIRSA Region 6 Championship Series. But they've got some work to do as they trail Cal State University San Marcos 31-14. Well, this tournament, it's the first time that GCU has ever hosted this tournament. There are 10 different region tournaments that go on between mid-February and mid-March to determine who goes to the NIRSA National Championships, which will be held the first weekend in April in Wichita, Kansas. The winner of this goes on, and as I said, a lot of work over the last 6 months from a very dedicated bunch of individuals. On the club sports side, Dan Nichols, Mark Nelson, Taylor Potter, Aslan Finfrock, and Matt Gordon. And on the campus recreation side, Matt Lamb, Chris Kuchler, Mike Fox, and the tournament director, Zach Erdman. Speaking of campus recreation and intramurals, let's take a closer look at that department. Universal Athletic, one of the proud sponsors of the NIRSA Region 6 Series Championship Tournament, provides services to every school and college in 9 states and in the western United States, and they're the #1 independent team dealer in the country. Universal Athletic, for the athlete in all of us.
Today at Whataburger, we're cooking the Buffalo Ranch chicken strip sandwich.
You asked for it, and it's back.
We got 3 chicken strips, 2 slices of Monterey Jack cheese, Whataburger's own buffalo sauce, a little bit of buttermilk ranch. The combination is just right.
It's crunchy and then it's spicy and then it's cool. Your mouth is exploding with flavor.
It just all works together, and then you add the cheese in there.
It kind of wakes me up, honestly. My goodness. I can see myself getting this every time I come here.
The Buffalo Ranch chicken strip sandwich. It's back, and it's only for a limited time.
Order all your favorites from your phone.
Curiosity fuels you. So when you're ready for a fulfilling new career, let your curiosity fuel that change. Grand Canyon University's online degree programs in technology make it convenient for you to achieve your dream. GCU teaches you how to plan for innovation. By applying that knowledge to today's most challenging problems, you're helping to build a better tomorrow. Find your purpose at GCU, where advanced technologies drive education. Private, Christian, affordable. Visit gcu.edu/online.
Jim Howe back here at the Canyon Activity Center, and this great tournament has come down to 20 minutes remaining. And Cal State University San Marcos, which has not won a Region 6 championship, is on the doorstep. They've led by as many as 19. They scored the first 7 points of the ball game. They have a 31-14 edge. As a matter of fact, Grand Canyon has not been closer than 5 points since the first couple of minutes. GCU, wearing the black uniforms, will start off the second half with the basketball. And that 20 minutes could go very fast. It's very hard when you've got a running clock to be able to mount a comeback. We've seen several. We've also seen several overtime matchups in this tournament, but GCU is going to have some work to do to make that happen. Here's Dustin Trout quickly up, gives it off for Nick Brown, and he throws it away right into the hands of Guggen Najjar. He'll come down on the break, stop at the free throw line. Will he take it? Yes, he will. That one rims around, won't go. He tips the rebound to the side, and Mason Peterson, who didn't see a lot of action in the last part of that first half, brings down the board. Here's Trevor Ballard off for Peterson. They would like to see Peterson get on track. He can be a deadly shooter when he's on. Here's Trevor Ballard. Backdoor pass. There's Trout. Can't get it to go, but he gets the rebound. Taps it over to Phil Wilson. He'll put it up, score it. Count it, foul. Send him to the free throw line. And now Cal State San Marcos wanting a clarification, as I think they were calling the foul committed on Dustin Trout on the pass-off. They're going to count the bucket, and they will whistle Jalen Lake for his 3rd personal foul. And they're going to give it back to GCU, and a quick inbound to Mason Peterson. He hits the 3, and that's a 5-point play that begins the second half. And for the first time since the beginning of the game, the GCU bench is up and exhorting on their charges. Here is Lake. Driving on Peterson. He'll put up the floater. Looked like it was partially blocked. It's an air ball. But then the outlet pass from Wilson to Trevor Ballard hits the legs of Ballard and squirts out of bounds. Costly turnover as the Lopes trying to seize the momentum here in the first minute plus of the second half. So the Cougars will have the ball, and they'll inbound it just to the right of our own courtside location here at the Canyon Activity Center. 10 different courts, and we are on the feature court, which is court 7. Jalen Lake takes the dribble to the right side, picked up by Peterson. And the fans trying to make some noise. They haven't had a lot to cheer about. The ones cheering on the Lopes. Here's Papke, has it stripped away. Phil Wilson makes the steal. Outlet it for Trevor Ballard. Ballard, stutter step, drive in, off the glass and get it. And suddenly this team, which thrives on raw emotion, suddenly showing signs of life. They've scored the first 7 points of this second half. And it's down to a 10-point game. Still a lot of basketball to be played. Lake will hand off for Evan Stellon. Stellon picked up by Trevor Ballard, stops the dribble. Lake comes out to get it. Lake has been really a major force in that first half. Now he's going to fire a 3 and get it, and that's exactly how he's been a force running the show and hitting threes from well beyond the arc. That's his fourth. Now as they bring the ball across the timeline, Andrew Lopez, one of this three-person officiating crew, is going to give a sideline warning to Grand Canyon for being a little bit too demonstrative. Three-man officiating crew, Nathan Miller, Andrew Lopez, Tyler Pham. So GCU gets it on the side, trailing 34-21. Nick Brown, start to drive, almost travel, and actually he did. Lake got to the spot before Brown did, and Brown on the stutter step lost his balance. So another turnover on Grand Canyon. And the Huskies have been faster and quicker throughout most of this game and trying to reestablish that after GCU ran off the first 7 points of the half. Here's Lake, covered by Mason Peterson. Start to drive, gets on the first step, kicks it out front, open look for Stellan for three, and he got it. Back-to-back threes by the starting backcourt for Cal State San Marcos. Brown goes the other way, coast to coast, score it, count it, foul, send him to the free throw line. So GCU answers back, trying to stem the tide. Foul is called on Carter Swingle. That is 2 on the starting small forward. And Brown to try and convert the three-point play, which he does. Lopes struggled early on in the game. Started to hit their free throws down the stretch, and with that one, they're now 8 of 11. And the GCU fans coming to their feet. Here's Lake, almost loses balance, off for Stellan. Drive across, throws up an acrobatic shot and gets it to go. Score it, count it, foul, send him to the free throw line. And so far, everything that the Lopes have thrown at the Cougars, Cal State San Marcos has had the answer. Foul is on Mason Peterson. That's the first team foul of the half for GCU. And Stellan will head to the line to try and capitalize on the three-point play and bring it back to a 16-point edge. 19-point lead has been CSUSM's biggest. Lopes have never tied or led. Free throw, bounce around and off. And Brown comes away with the rebound. Here's Ballard beating everybody up the floor. He'll score. So GCU, who had not had a chance to get out on the transition the entire first half, trying to utilize it to its advantage. Back to a 13-point Cougar lead. Jalen Lake, as GCU extending their defense out past the three-point line, wanting to spread the floor. Zitney now with the defensive assignment on him. Lake now kicks it over for Papke, way out on the perimeter. No shot clock, so they can use as much time as they want to. Swingle in for Najjar, who tried to spin away from a possible tie-up by Brown. Brown doesn't get the jump ball. He doesn't get the travel. Instead, he gets the foul. That's his first. Non-shooting foul, so Cal State San Marcos will reset. Throw out front, Stellan now driving on Caleb Smith. Double team, puts it up. Count if it goes, it won't. But he'll head back to the line, and the foul is on Phil Wilson. That is 4 fouls on the backup forward for GCU, Phil Wilson. So Stellan, who has gotten very active offensively in the last 3 or 4 minutes, and he's got 5 of the 8 points Cal State and San Marcos has in this second half to show for it. Goes to the line for a pair, makes the first. Denzel Wanguma back into the GCU lineup, and Trevor Ballard will take a seat as we move towards the 13-minute mark of this second half with the running clock. Stellan's next free throw, that's good. San Marcos now 5 out of 6 free throw shooting. The Lopes, conversely, 8 of 11. Here is Caleb Smith inside for Wilson. Trying to get it to Wanguma, and Wanguma did a nice job just to keep it from going behind him out of bounds, but as he tried to control his balance, he traveled with the ball. So every time GCU tries to swing the momentum, they get a costly turnover, and they get one here. Let's see if the Cougars can take advantage of that. Here is Carter Swingle, and as Swingle tried to put on the brakes, feet came out from under him, and he's called for the walking violation. So the Lopes with a lineup of Phil Wilson, Nick Brown, Christian Zitney, Caleb Smith, and Denzel Wanguma. Inside won't go. Wanguma fighting for the rebound. It goes down to Smith, and then he's tied up. Possession arrow will send it the other way. Elijah Ellis up off the bench for the Cougars, who have just 3 bench players. The Lopes with just 4. He'll check in for Cal State San Marcos, and now Michael Ryan returns to the GCU lineup, and Phil Wilson will sit down. Remember, Phil Wilson with 4 personal fouls. Full court defensive pressure employed, but Lake able to get it in, and now the Lopes will back off. 8.5 minutes gone by, and the 17-point lead for the Cougars pretty much maintained. They lead 41-26. Here's Ellis. He'll put it up from 18, and there it is, right back to that 17-point lead almost on cue. Ellis with the score. That is the first bench scoring for Cal State San Marcos this afternoon. Here is Wanguma. Backs it out. Now wants somebody to come get the ball. It's Caleb Smith. Smith will drive, stop at the baseline. Cross-court pass for Wanguma. Outside Nick Brown, outside the arc. Wants to work one-on-one. Bangs into Stalon, no harm, no foul. Over to Wanguma, in the corner, Ryan. Good ball movement. They get it to Zitney. He's got an open look for 3. It won't go. Ryan gets the rebound, but he pushed off to get it. Didn't have the inside position, and that'll be a loose ball foul. Team foul number 4 on Grand Canyon. As Trevor Ballard returns, Caleb Smith sits down, and we near the midpoint of this second half, and so far for Cal State San Marcos, no damage done. Each team has scored a dozen points here in the second half. Lake being pressured out front near the midcourt line by Nick Brown. Drives to the right side, now back to the left. CSUSM content to take some time off, and now Brown gets tangled up with Lake. That's an easy foul to call. Second foul on Brown, 5th team foul on Grand Canyon. As Javier Durazo will check back in to the Cougars lineup and give the starting center Eric Papke a breather. Non-shooting foul as Lake will inbound in front of this good crowd here at the Canyon Activity Center, who have gathered to watch this 44th and final game of the tournament. Here is Stalon, drives, kick for Najjar. He can shoot it from there, but that one won't go from 3-point range. Here come the Lopes, they want to run. Brown gives it to the trailer Ballard, his 3-pointer's short. And a long rebound for Lake, but he doesn't want to put the pedal on the gas because of his 17-point cushion, so he'll slow it up. And he'll play one-on-one with Nick Brown just to use some time. Brown goes for the steal, comes up empty. Here's Ellis. Ellis will drive, gets bumped around, and in the jockeying is whistled for the personal. I don't think they'll give him continuation, and they won't. But Nick Brown has now picked up his 3rd, and the Lopes are out of fouls. One more, they'll put Cal State San Marcos in the bonus as Mason Peterson returns to the GCU lineup. Michael Ryan will check out, and we move under 9 minutes left to go. Here's Durazo on the baseline. Gets it in for Stalon. Has it knocked away. Goes right into the lap of Stalon, who falls out of bounds with the ball in his hands. So that'll be a turnover. Stalon wanted a foul, didn't get it. And the Lopes need to get busy. 8.5 minutes left to go in this one. And they have been fighting upstream the whole day. Brown wants to spread the floor, handoff for Peterson. Peterson thought about the 3, passes it up. Give it to Trevor Ballard, covered by Lake. Drives around him, drives in. The little teardrop is good by Trevor Ballard. Well, Ballard has 6 of the 11 points here in this second half. Ellis out of backcourt, off for Stalon. Stalon backs away, fires a 3, high off the back of the iron, not good. And it's Wanguma who skies above everybody to take down the defensive board. Scoops it for Ballard. Ballard across the lane, kick in the corner. Open look, Mason Peterson for 3, no. Zitney with a rebound. Another attempt. Ballard, long 3, got it. And they have been waiting for that. The home fans have. For Ballard to finally get on track. That's only his second 3. And it's still a double-digit lead for Cal State San Marcos as Lake brings it across the timeline. 7.5 minutes left. Lake will drive, working on Peterson. Stop and pop from the free throw line. That's off the mark. Wanguma again with the defensive rebound. Took it away from two different Cougars. Wanguma comes down, slows it up. Here is Zitney. Zitney will drive, scoops it up. Oh, wouldn't go. He goes down. No harm, no foul. Here come the Cougars. Cougars leading 43-31 at the 7-minute mark. Can they hang on to win their first Region 6 title? Lake again content to take some time out off the clock. And now he's bumped. No harm, no foul. As he throws it to Ellis, there is a foul. Out front on Trevor Ballard. And that is team foul number 7 for the Lopes. And so it's free throw time for Cal State San Marcos. And Elijah Ellis, who has not been to the line yet this afternoon, in a 1-and-1 situation, has to make the first to earn the second attempt. And the clock continues to tick towards the 6-minute mark. First free throw is good. San Marcos 3 for 4 free throw shooting in the half, 6 for 7 for the game. And Ellis can't make the next one, but Papke skies above everybody, then throws it away after he gets the board. Stolen away by Wanguma. Drives inside, has it knocked away, stolen away. Carter Swingle comes into the front court with the steal. Off for Durazo. He's going to back up and fire a three. That one won't go. Ellis fighting for the rebound as it knocked out of his hands. Ballard comes up with it, and then Ellis will bump him and knock him down to pick up his third personal foul with 5:35 left to go. That's only team foul number 3. So the Cougars have plenty of fouls to give. Ballard will inbound it in front of the San Marcos bench. He and Wanguma the backcourt at the moment. Lamont Lane, the coach, going all small. Ballard, turnaround from 12 is good, and Trevor Ballard starting to heat up. 4 points at halftime. He's got 15 now. Lake splitting through the defense and staying out of trouble. The lead is down to 11, and the Lopes just scrambling around to try and get it out of his hands. It's a tough task. Swingle drives, gets it for Papke, out for Durazo. Cross court for Ellis. San Marcos content to play keep away until Ellis loses the ball. Then Ellis fights to get it back from Zitney, and then he is fouled as he tried to get rid of it. Home fans not happy. Foul is on Wanguma. And again with CSUSM in the bonus, it's a 1-and-1 situation for Ellis, who made 1 of 2 a moment ago. And that's not the most important part because the time continues to tick. 4:15 and counting. And Ellis taking his time at the stripe. The first free throw's good, which will earn him the second attempt. Trying to make it a 13-point cushion again. And he can't do it, but it's tipped away and Papke able to come up with it. San Marcos again with the basketball, and the Lopes starting to run out of time. Lake being pressured by Wanguma out near the midcourt line. Gets up in the air, give it to Papke, back to Lake. Lake knowing there's no shot clock and knowing that they have to foul, which also continues to contribute to the clock elapse. Ballard picks up the foul out front, and that's 9 team fouls. So the next one will mean a 2-shot foul no matter what. Now remember, in NIRSA play, there are 3 timeouts for each team. Each team has used 1 so far, but Lake misses the free throw. So the Lopes with the basketball and a foul in the backcourt. Or did they call a timeout? Apparently a timeout on the floor. We'll take one. 3:03 left to go in this one. It is Cal State San Marcos 45, Grand Canyon 33 in the 2020 NIRSA Region 6 Championship Series on GCU TV.
one more member on our roster. Streets of New York is proud to announce Grand Canyon University to our winning team. We are now the official pizza of GCU. Go Lopes.
Three-pointer put up after the timeout by Nick Brown. It's short. Cal State San Marcos with the basketball and a 12-point lead. And they are just 2:40 away from heading to Wichita, Kansas, the first weekend in April for the NIRSA National Championship. Brown going for the steal. Papke able to save it, and Lake's got it in the front court. Again, no shot clock, so the Cougs are content to play keep away as Mason Peterson will foul. That's team foul number 10, and the Lopes are just about out of chances. Clock continues to move, and Papke will go to the line for a pair. Lopes have never led in this one after getting dominant performances in all but one game. Shortest margin of victory for them has been 12 points. That was in the quarterfinals against San Diego State, and they downed ASU downtown by 17 points in the semis. It's been much closer pickings for Cal State San Marcos in their road here. They won by 15 points and 6 points in their pool play games as Papke makes one of two. Then a dominant performance against one of the other club teams from GCU, GCU Black, by 26, but they won by 2 in the semifinal or in the quarterfinals, and then by 10 over Dixie State, the defending champs, in the semis. The drive by Ballard is good. Brown will foul Carter Swingle in the backcourt. That will stop the clock as we are under 2 minutes. And will send Swingle to the line for the first time since the first half. He's 2 for 2. Lopes have not been closer than 9 points in this second half. And they've trailed by as many as 19. First free throw is not good. This is the second appearance by Grand Canyon's club teams in the last 4 years in the NIRSA Championship Series. The first time around, they were actually beaten by their brethren at GCU Intramurals. That was back in 2017 at UCLA. Swingle makes one of the two, 12-point lead. Lopes have to hurry, minute 40 left to go. Dustin Trout driving on Lake, hands off for Ballard. They know he's the one that has to shoot it since he has the hot hand. Give it to Trout. High arching three, got it. Dustin Trout picks the perfect time to get his first scoring. Lead pass, there is Papke. Can he save it? Yes, he can in a jar. Minute 25 left to go, and Peterson forced to foul. That's his third. Stops the clock with a minute 22 left. And so Guggen Najjar, who has made his only free throw attempt on the afternoon, that was back in the first half, will try to make this a double-digit lead again. 47-38. And the first free throw is good. Najjar actually led the team in scoring at halftime with a dozen. That's his first point after halftime. Next free throw, that's not good, and now a lane violation, I believe, is going to be called, and it'll be against Grand Canyon. So that will give Najjar one more try. 82 seconds remaining. And the Lopes just about out of miracles. That one is good. 49-38. San Marcos on top. Trout quickly out of backcourt. Off for Brown. Give it to Peterson. To the driving Zitney. He'll move to the hoop. Put it up. Wave it off. Traveling violation. It was a late whistle, but one that needed to be called. And so the turnover gives it back to San Marcos with a minute 10 left. Lopes will employ full court defensive pressure. Lake offers Stellon. Stellon weaving through traffic and then sets up the alley-oop for Papke, but he can't get it to go. Here come the Lopes with a minute left. Trout will stop and fire for three. High off the back of the iron, not good. Papke with it. He'll be fouled in the backcourt to stop it with 54 seconds to go. And the Cougars slowly starting to sense the celebration. Foul is on Caleb Smith. And both teams making the long trip down to the San Marcos free throw line. First free throw by Papke is good. And he can, for all practical purposes, finish this one off and make it a 5-possession game with the next one, which he does. Now they're going to say that Papke, who was not confident in his shot, stepped in the lane too early. That'll be a lane violation. But it's still a 12-point Cougars edge. Ballard out of backcourt, Lane right on his hip. He'll stop, he'll fire an off-balance three. That one won't go. Papke skies over everybody for the rebound. Long pass intercepted by Trout. Still 40 seconds left. GCU not going away. Trout will back away, fire a three, and get it. Well, this team can shoot threes. They can be streaky at it. Now Smith goes for the steal. Thought he got all ball, but instead a foul in the backcourt. And a technical foul will be called on head coach Lamont Lane, and he better be careful. He was out on the floor.
5:32, hit, two shot.
So that was an easy call for referee Andrew Lopez to make, and that will give Stellan 2 free throws at the San Marcos free throw line. And once he's done, then Jalen Lake will get his chance to put further distance between them and Grand Canyon. Stellan misses them both. So it's still a 3-possession game. And Lake now going to the free throw line. Again, 29.8 seconds remaining. Lake misses the free throw. So San Marcos continuing to at least make it interesting. Needs one to make it a double-digit lead again, and does. And with the technical, San Marcos is going to get the ball back. So half a minute to go, and the Lopes are going to have to go for the steal, then try to go for the foul. Inbound to Lake, and Lake will be grabbed and fouled by Caleb Smith. So Lake back to the line. That only took a second and a half off the clock. Lake with 13 points on 4 3-point goals. Makes the first. And the second. 12-point game. Inbound to Trout. Trout comes up, stop. He'll kick for Peterson. Peterson drive the base, give it to Zidney. Zidney will lay it up. Oh, falls off the front of the iron. And the rebound comes down to Carter Swingle. He's fouled in the backcourt, and that should do it. Foul is on Christian Zidney. And Carter Swingle, who is 3 for 4 from the stripe, heads there for a pair in the double bonus. NIRSA Region 6 Championship Series Tournament brought to you by BSN, the largest provider of team sports equipment and apparel in the country. Also brought to you by Streets of New York, the official pizza of Grand Canyon University. Pizza, pasta, and subs. Brought to you by Universal Athletic for the athlete in all of us. And brought to you by Whataburger. With 19 locations in the Phoenix area alone, Whataburger, just like you like it. Shot up and in. 10-point game, 5 seconds to go. Papke gets the long pass. He'll put it up and in. And that's the way this one's going to end. A 12-point win as Cal State University San Marcos leads from wire to wire, scoring the first 7 points of the ball game, leading by as many as 19, and not allowing GCU with several runs in the second half to get any closer than 8 points after halftime. So the two teams shaking hands, and Cal State San Marcos has punched their ticket to Wichita, Kansas, and the NIRSA National Basketball Championships at Wichita State University, April 3rd through the 5th. And congratulations to them. Congratulations to Grand Canyon for a great performance throughout the tournament. But the Cougars are the champions of 2020. Congratulations to them. Also, congratulations to the University of California, Davis. California Davis are women's champions, also heading to the Jayhawk State the first weekend in April. Well, we want to thank our great crew, Al Porteous and Gina Sandos overseeing it, Robert Purcell, our director, Dylan Parrish and Zachary Kelly providing you the great sights and sounds. We also want to thank our great tournament committee, Zach Erdman, the tournament chair, Matt Lamb, Chris Kutzler, Mike Fox, Dan Nichols, Mark Nelson, Taylor Potter, Aslan Finfrock, and Matt Gordon. And we would like to thank all of you for being a part of this, the first time that GCU is hosted and the first time we have brought you the NIRSA Region Championship Series. So that'll do it from here. So this is Jim Howe speaking to you from the Canyon Activity Center on the Grand Canyon University campus in the heart of Phoenix, Arizona. Reminding you the final score again in the championship game on the men's side of the 2020 NIRSA Region 6 Championship Series. It is the Cal State University San Marcos Cougars 55 and the Grand Canyon University Lopes 43. Good night, everybody.